Jeffrey Dahmer. The name alone evokes a deep sense of unease, a dark chapter in American history. His story continues to grip the public imagination, not for the grim details, but for the unsettling questions it forces us to confront about human nature, mental health, and the society we live in. Today, we're not here to sensationalize, but to understand. We'll delve into the life of Jeffrey Dahmer, exploring the psychological and social threads that wove together to create such a complex and disturbing figure, and most importantly, what we can learn from this chilling piece of history. Born in 1960 in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Jeffrey Dahmer's childhood seemed unremarkable on the surface. Yet, beneath the veneer of a typical suburban life, his world was marked by profound isolation and a fractured family dynamic. While his material needs were met, a deep emotional void grew. He was a lonely child, struggling to forge the simple friendships that most kids take for granted. This early and persistent loneliness became a defining feature of his developing personality, pushing him inward. Experts who have studied his formative years point to early signs of social withdrawal. He developed a fascination with unusual subjects, like animal anatomy and the processes of life and death in the natural world. On their own, interests aren't necessarily red flags. Many curious children explore similar topics. However, for Dahmer, when combined with his deep-seated isolation, these interests became part of a unique and troubling psychological landscape that set him apart from his peers. He wasn't just a quiet kid. He was a kid retreating into a private world that no one else could access or understand. As Jeffrey entered adolescence, the chasm between him and his peers widened. This is a time when most of us are desperately trying to figure out who we are, seeking acceptance and forming bonds. For Dahmer, it was a period of intense struggle with his own identity and a deepening sense of being an outsider. He felt misunderstood, invisible. It was during these teenage years that he began to develop disturbing coping mechanisms. To deal with his loneliness, he turned to obsessive behaviors and developed an intense, consuming desire for control over his environment and ultimately over others, as a way to ensure they would never leave him. Psychologists emphasize that adolescence is a crucial window for emotional and social development. We learn empathy, how to navigate complex relationships, and how to connect with others in healthy, reciprocal ways. Dahmer missed these crucial milestones. The absence of strong social bonds and positive reinforcement didn't just leave him lonely. It actively reinforced his patterns of isolation and deep introspection. This made it increasingly difficult and eventually impossible for him to form the genuine human connections he so desperately and destructively craved. His internal world became his only refuge, and it was a dark and dangerous place to be alone. Dahmer's psychological profile, pieced together by experts over the years, reveals a complex tapestry of troubling traits. Key among them are profound social detachment, obsessive-compulsive tendencies, and that overwhelming need for control. It wasn't one single factor, but the toxic combination of these traits, layered on top of his early experiences of emotional neglect and chronic isolation, that contributed to his uniquely disturbed psychological state. He felt a profound emptiness and a lack of control over his own life. And his mind twisted this into a need to exert absolute control over others. Now, it's absolutely crucial to state that understanding these psychological factors is not, in any way, an attempt to excuse his horrific actions. There is no excuse. Instead, this analysis serves a different purpose. It helps us examine the terrifying ways that psychological vulnerabilities can intersect and, in extreme cases, lead to devastating outcomes. His case is a stark reminder that human behavior exists on a spectrum, and understanding the darkest points on that spectrum is vital if we hope to prevent tragedies from ever happening again. It's about learning, not forgiving. Jeffrey Dahmer's story isn't just about one man's disturbed mind. It's also a mirror reflecting his own shortcomings. His life raises difficult questions about our collective responsibilities. Factors like social neglect, a glaring lack of early intervention, and significant gaps in mental health support systems created a pathway that went unchecked. For far too long, he fell through cracks in the system, cracks that, had they been addressed, might have altered his trajectory. He was, in many ways, invisible to the systems designed to help. This underscores the vital role that families, schools, and communities play in creating a safety net. Recognizing early warning signs of severe distress, social withdrawal, or unusual behavior, and responding with support, not judgment, is critical. Dahmer's case is a tragic testament to the importance of paying attention, of offering empathy, and of ensuring that timely and accessible mental health intervention is available to those who are struggling. It teaches us that prevention CPG begins with connection and care long before a crisis erupts. The media's portrayal of Jeffrey Dahmer has been a double-edged sword. On one hand, it brought his case into the public consciousness. On the other, it has often veered into sensationalism, grim details in a way that can be more exploitative than educational. While public fascination with such extreme cases is understandable, it comes with a profound ethical responsibility. Ethical storytelling must shift the focus away from glorifying a killer and toward learning the valuable lessons his story holds. It means centering the conversation on psychology, on societal failures, and, most importantly, on honoring the memory and experiences of the victims and their families. The families of those Dahmer harmed have repeatedly voiced their pain and frustration, particularly regarding dramatizations and series that revisit these events without their consultation or consent. Their experiences highlight a critical debate about the media's role. It forces us to ask, where is the line between public interest and private grief? True crime content must balance its narrative goals with a deep sense of sensitivity and respect for the real people whose lives were shattered. Their stories deserve to be told with dignity, not just for entertainment. So, what is the legacy of Jeffrey Dahmer? What lessons can we, and should we, take away from this dark chapter? Studying his life offers a powerful, albeit disturbing, opportunity for reflection. It forces us to confront difficult truths about mental health, our social responsibilities, and the devastating consequences of isolation. It prompts a critical examination of how our society identifies and addresses risk, how the media shapes our perceptions of crime and justice, and how our educational, and support systems can be fortified to prevent individuals from spiraling into crisis. Moreover, examining Dahmer's life is not just about one extreme case. It encourages a broader, more critical way of thinking about the complexities of human behavior. While his actions were far beyond the pale, they serve as a chilling reminder of the importance of early intervention, the power of compassion, and the necessity of societal awareness. His story is a warning, written in the darkest ink, about what can happen when a person becomes completely untethered from a caring and vigilant community. It's a call to build a more connected and supportive world. Ultimately, the story of Jeffrey Dahmer is a sobering and multi-layered narrative. It sits at the grim intersection of psychology, environment, and societal failure. The goal of understanding his mind is not to revel in the macabre or to sensationalize violence. It is about a commitment to learning from history, to better comprehending the full spectrum of human behavior, and to championing mental health awareness with renewed urgency. It's about seeing the warning signs not as curiosities, but as calls for help. By exploring these complex factors with thoughtfulness and gravity, we gain crucial insight into the profound importance of empathy, support systems, and community vigilance. It's through this understanding that we can work toward fostering safer, healthier, and more compassionate communities for everyone. Thank you for joining me in this difficult but necessary conversation. If you found this analysis valuable, please consider liking this video and subscribing to the channel for more deep dives into complex topics. Stay curious and stay safe.